All right. You guys know who it is. You guys know who it is. Laxton Bruce, man. We on Chaos Conversation. We're gonna go ahead and try to keep it simple today because of these emails and these texts and two stoppages. I can two stoppages. Two times I've been stopping the public and the conversations I've had of like, where did this come from, ma'am, sir? Do men always have to pay on the first date, and do men always have to pay until there's a commitment and understanding, an exclusive contract between the two parties? And I'm gonna let y'all know what my answer was for that in these next few minutes. But then another topic we're going to touch on is also, if you're dating a man or you're dating a woman and they telling you they want to be celibate, they want to, they want to save it until they marry, till they know that you're the one and only exclusive one who's going to be with them, right? But let's say, for example, the chat I had with this young lady was, well, what if he or she goes off and has a little affair, and they decide to share it with someone else right before you guys decide to have that exclusive, contract with each other to only date and be with each other exclusively. But they decide to go away, step aside, and not really cheat because you guys haven't been committed yet. But they decide to sleep with someone right before they commit to you. What is that a sign of? So in these next few seconds, we're going to go ahead and get started. We might have a guest on in these next 20, 30 minutes, but we'll see. We'll give them about 5 more seconds. We're gonna be on. We're gonna be on and popping. All right. Again, Chaos Conversation, man. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment because today, I feel like we've touched on this before, but after I had this conversation with this, a dude. I had one conversation with a dude, one conversation with the young lady about, her man or her boyfriend, soon to be, pulling some strings. Or anyway, the conversation I had with this guy, let's see what day it was. This was over the weekend, Saturday. And I'm like, all right, dude, what's up? But he's like, man, listen, he feels he really didn't seem to have himself together as far as what he wanted to do when he goes on dating. And I asked him, fellas, I don't know if this is you or not. Ladies, if this ever relates to you or a man you've dated, that doesn't mean brush him off right away. Fellas, this doesn't mean, brush her off right away, even if you may not have yourself together. Because this is what I've learned, is speaking from experience. A man is supposed to pay every time. Really? Okay. I want for a lot of y'all who say a man's supposed to pay every time just because he's supposed to. Well, first thing I want to ask you is, can you show me a receipt of where that came from? Because one thing I can tell many of you all, that's been the traditional way. It has for many years. The man has always, paid. However, ladies, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. Women were not always allowed to work for the same wages as a man used to. Back then, matter of fact, I don't think women could work way back in the day. If you guys want to take it back to the 20s, 30s, 40s, I don't even think women were even allowed to work like that. If they were allowed to work, they were only allowed to get paid like 10 cents a week or 10 cents a day at the most. But times have changed, times have shifted, and the guy I spoke with, he was at least I won't say 30. I didn't ask his age, but he did tell me, where he grew up, the time he graduated. So I want to say he was at least 34, no more than 36. So he was at least almost a decade younger than I am. So when you look at your different age bracket, I'm like, all right, man. Why is it that some of you all like to hold on to rules that, the man is supposed to do this, the man is supposed to do that? Well, okay. Does the woman supposed to do anything? Him and I, as we talked about that, and I feel like we've talked about this on the show before. Howsomever, that's right. Howsomever, I feel as though whoever asked to go out on a date is the one that should be able to cover. To me, it's just that simple. Because you think about it. If a woman wants to ask a man, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's go to the game. Hey, let's go to the beach. Hey, let's go get a room. Hey, let's go out to eat. Hey, let's go do that. I was like, all right, you want to sit there and spend all this man's time, effort, energy, and money on you, and then you want to, now some women are, some men are the same way. But then the woman will be like, all right, well, she has no more interest in him anymore for whatever reason, because some other guy is high on demand. We all know how things happen here in life. But here in Chaos Conversation, well, sometimes I don't know how to say it, but to keep it real with some of y'all, because it's when I get text, email, messaged, and stopped in the streets, and some people just talk to me about it because they know who I am. And it's like a lot of you all keep sticking to the rules that you want to keep living by. And once again, like I've said before, to me, there are no rules. But there's like so many traditional ways that dating, commitment, marriages, and partnerships have taken place. And a lot of you all just want to take certain parts of the ingredients, take certain parts of the recipe, and then try to live your life. Oh, hey, well, this is where my grandparents live. This is where my mom and dad live. This is the way my friends and family are living. All right, but again, a lot of y'all who keep doing that, same was complaining or not happily together with someone, because you keep taking this rule, that rule, or this piece of the book or that piece of the book, this traditional way, that way, and then you're trying to fit it into again how it works for you. And I can tell it doesn't seem to be working for all of you all. So I'm gonna say this one more again. All right, that's right. I said it like that. One more again. When you try to take a rule of, okay, the man's always supposed to pay because that's the way tradition is. Okay. Well, tradition used to be, at one time women couldn't vote. Look how a lot of women just fought that, and now you can vote. It used to be women weren't getting paid, but so much money a week or bi-weekly or monthly. But I mean, now you got a lot of women who are making more than men, and not just doing it because they're self-employed. So my thing is, whenever you're dating someone, I mean, when you're dating someone, if the man wants to pay, I mean, hey, then let him. But if the man is like, all right, well, you guys are still dating, and he's paid for you guys are still dating, and you've been out 5 or 6 times. I'm gonna say it like this: don't try to say he's less of a man if he's like, hey, you want to do something, ladies, that's going to cost money, and he wants to bring up something that, hey, it's not going to cost money. Like, I don't know, a walk in the park, or it's nice outside. And you're like, well, no, I want to go, you want to go somewhere and spend money. You want to go to, a football game or something. I don't know. You want to go do something that's going to cost money. He's like, well, how about we do this and it's free? It's like, all right, sometimes those are clues or hints that, hey, something may have came up on his end. That don't mean he's cheap just because he won't pay for every date. Now you got some men who got books to sell, and they got, they have to have so many followers and things like that. Well, I'll tell you, just because they say it doesn't mean it's always the case, because once again, everybody's situation is different. But because a man may not want to pay this particular time, does not mean he's cheap, does not mean he ain't the right one, doesn't mean he doesn't have, again, a lot of the values within him that matter in a friendship or relationship. And that right there is where I feel a lot of people are dropping the ball. They're like, all right, well, he ain't paying for the 8th, 9th, 10th date. Okay. I mean, whether you're a teenager in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, I'm gonna let you know right now, these days and time, I mean, life is tough for some people, but that don't mean they want to give up on his or her love life or his or her dating, process. So, ladies, I'll be honest with you. A man may not pay for you and him to go out all the time. But okay, let's just say for this example. Hold on, who's this texting right now? Okay. It was a text right here I want to share with y'all. Okay. This young lady, I'm not gonna mention the name, but she's trying to tell me if a man does not pay, he ain't no real man. Okay, see, there you go. See, stuff like that, post text messages like that, that's what kills relationships. Who's to say what a real man is or is not? To me, that's opinionated. To me, that's very opinionated. And so, ladies, for a lot of you all who want to sit here and judge a man, talking about, well, he ain't do this or he ain't do that, so so he ain't, so he ain't. Oh, there you go. I don't know what just happened there, but video went out for just a second, and I think we have. Okay, there she is right there. Okay, hold on. I guess just arrived. Hold on. Let me. I bet you go. Can you
Hey,
see us
bro.
now? Hey, how you doing?
I'm sorry, but my phone was tripping.
If you want to turn it sideways, that's fine also, because that sometimes it'll help. All right, there
Yeah,
you go. That's fine. That's fine. How you been?
I'm good, bro. So, what are we talking about today?
Well, even though we live right now, and I was just talking to them about, because somebody already texted me or yeah, messaged me about going 50-50 in a on a dating. But as we're talking about dating, it's like going 50-50 while you're dating.
I don't. Me personally, I don't see nothing wrong with that, Bruce. Why should the burden be on the same person every time? Why can't we
That's
bounce off each other?
hmm
Why?
Before we go any further, how about you let the audience know who you are, how we met, and um, what
Um,
you do.
my name's Siobhan. I met Bruce through the singles group, and really kind of fell into behind closed doors. And I just started trying to do just a chat about a fact. There's really not one thing, so I can't put down to one subject.
hmm
I'm just on Facebook right now. I haven't expanded, my audience yet, until I'm just trying to build. And Bruce had a podcast, and Bruce always has something good to say. So I thought I would be honored to be a guest.
Hey, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. And we also have another guest for y'all who be asking these questions, about here and there. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Let them know who you are, what you got to share with them.
Hello, my name is Trinelia, and just going with the flow. Just hope to listen first and see where we're at, and just share my opinion or just my thoughts or whatever. Thank you
Hey,
for having me.
and that's what we do here on Chaos Conversation, man. I ain't say what we were just talking about though. We were just talking about 50-50 in relationships. And I was
Okay.
before you guys came on, I was just reading one comment of this young lady. I'm not going to mention her, but she was saying if a man goes 50-50 while dating, he ain't no real man. And I'm like, man, come on, really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's timing is different. Correct me if y'all think I'm wrong, man. But everybody's timing is different. You got some folks in their 20s, and they'll date for about 2 or 3 months before they decide they want to commit to a man or a woman. I
True.
mean, what do you guys think about that? Because don't you guys agree, or feel free to state your opinion that everybody's dating, timing is different.
It is, because 10 years is really a long time to just.
Shoot, that's a long commitment if you ask me.
And
Yeah.
that's the whole decade, my 20s or my third, the whole thing. I don't think 10 years is too long for me.
hmm
Mm.
How about you, T?
I feel like 10 years is like you're married.
Okay.
Um, I mean, you're common law married, really, in real life. So
Uh,
without a title. So that is a long time for it to be, especially, was it casual? I'm sorry, I came in
well, see,
late.
now we're talking about just two who are dating to get to know each other. They're both dating with a purpose, but I'm like, a lot of people will date for, I mean, like me, I'm already at a point in my life where all I need minimum of dating is 2 months. That's
Yeah,
my limit. Now, how many times we go out within 2 months, I'd give us at least 8 to 10 times. That's really all I need.
okay. Yeah, because I'm like, 10
Sometimes
years, you
less,
know that
depending on where
person.
she's at.
In 10 years, you know that person. In 1 year, you know that person to
Oh,
know what you want to do, because it's like, in 10 years, what are you doing with that time? And you can't say you're dating with a purpose and no purpose has happened in a decade of our life. Like, so what are we doing?
there you
That's
That's
go.
somebody's lying.
Say
I'm
what,
sorry.
Shabbat?
somebody commitment, or
Yeah.
they're not sure if I'm their person.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
both people got low self-esteem, because after a while, why wouldn't you want somewhere for yourself?
Right.
Somebody
Yeah.
to commit to. You done gave them 10 years. You're being faithful. We done went through arguments. We done went through self-realizations. There might
Mm-hmm.
be children involved in 10 years, and yet
Yep.
there's still a lack. So what direction did you go in 10 years of your life? I've been in a situation where I wasted a lot of time, and I'm
Oh,
still.
hold up now. Hold up now. Hold up. You said what?
Ah, no, there's a horn. I've
Now,
been
do
been
you,
on
do
for
you
five
mean
minutes.
do
No,
you mean hold on? Do you mean you wasted, or do you mean you probably just made a bad investment, but didn't get everything you wanted at the end of it?
it was a waste of time, because I knew it was a bad investment. Sometimes you think you could be in something and be faithful and change
Mm-hmm.
the situation, and that is a waste. Now, if
Oh,
it was a
really?
lesson learned,
Okay.
it was a lesson learned, but it was also a self-realization. I had to be real with myself, because he
Mm-hmm.
didn't hold me hostage. I
Okay.
wasn't there. There was choices that I made, and I had to grow. So it took me out the game too for a little while, because when I had to look around and see what I allowed myself to be in, There was a lot of stuff I had to fix, so I don't do that again. But then
So
when I was heard about it, I was cutting people off fast too. Like, whoop, you said the wrong thing. So it took a lot. I had to say I had to heal from the
how young were you?
expectations that didn't become reality. I was
How
in my
young were you?
20s.
20s?
I was actually having a very sheltered life. I was in my mid-20s because I was like
Okay.
my first, I want to say like, quote, real grown relationship. Like my first time stepping off the porch. I stepped off the porch and tried to play house. So I played house because that's what I saw in my parents. They've been married my whole life. So it made sense to be with someone and one person. And it made sense to me because that's what I saw. But it was still like, if you don't do the foundation steps, it don't matter. Like if you ignore the things that are the core things of important to you, like that's where I say it's a waste of time, because we enter things fully aware sometimes. When you enter it fully aware and you have all your decision-making skills, and this is what you chose to, whether it's just low self-esteem, whether it's the ideology you have in your head, but that's why I say, but the parts where it was life teaching me things, that was the lesson. So, you know, I don't look at it as a negative, but sometimes it's better to be by yourself than to be dragged in the wrong direction with another person.
Now you know what?
Because you
I'm
gotta
gonna go ahead.
gotta go right.
I'm gonna take something you said, and I'm gonna ask Siobhan. Now, Siobhan, she said some of the basic fundamentals of dating or life or relationships. I forgot which one it was, but what do you think some of the basic fundamentals of friendship, relationship, dating is?
Understanding each other, knowing because some people go in wanting something, but that's not the way they perceive themselves. So they might, that's not really where they're going with it. And like, don't beat yourself up, Shania, because you really don't know somebody to live with them anyways. I feel like you got to do this together before you really know. You could date from afar, but you don't know somebody until you got to truly live.
Do it. Ugh. And it's the little things like the difference of milks or shopping or just little things. You'll be like, oh my God, I thought you had sense. And there's things where I thought I knew. I was mature and I wasn't mature either. So like, you know, I can't fault them, because my advice would be to thine own self be true. Like I didn't know who I was. I didn't take the time. I don't know. It's a placement thing. I'm the firstborn. So you just get thrown out of there and you find it there. You don't have a lot of mentors and everything like that. In my upbringing, we just didn't do a lot of communicating. Like I had to learn by bumping my head. So
how often did you guys go 50-50 while you were with him? Did you guys ever go 50-50 on anything?
Yeah, because it ain't tricking if you got it. I mean, like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Bruce.
No, I was asking, how many times did you guys go 50-50 while you guys were together? That's what we're talking about.
I'm saying I didn't count. Like if I had it, we had it. If he had it, he had it. Like if I wanted to go, I get it. Oh, you don't have it, boo? Okay. Because typically, like, we don't have it is for valid reasons. Like we were both responsible adults. There's bills, there's life, there's health, there's family. I have a son who's 14. So sometimes I ain't got it. And then so why can I expect a person with the same?
For some reason, your camera
ain't got it.
Yeah, for some reason your camera kind of froze for a second.
Or you gonna go put your coins together and get a burger with them, make a sandwich. I don't know. To me, it's not that deep, because seeing my only example of a healthy relationship is my parents, and there's been times where my father, who was initially our provider, life happened. And like when he got out of the military, it was hard for him to find a job. It took a long gap, and my mother had to be the breadwinner for a while, and she was the housewife, you know, but she went out and did what she had to do to. So to me, I look at it as love. How much do you love? I mean, if we were together, do I want you to struggle because you're a male? Like I have a father, I have a brother, I have a son. They're people. Life hits them just like it hits me, so I can't expect him to always have it. But then why are we together waiting on, okay, you did it, now I'm going to do it? That's not life in itself. 80-20. There's going to be times where I might have the money, but you have the energy, where you're in a better place than I am mentally. So like, what's really 50-50?
Yeah, and that's the part where I was talking about. I was talking with Siobhan before she fell off, man.
What'd you
But
say? I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Is it
no,
me?
I said that's the part where I was talking with Siobhan before she fell off just now. But when she was talking about 50-50, and I was also talking about, man, listen, it's really about, again, there's no rule book, but it's about whatever works for that particular couple. Because I mean,
Yeah.
one of the biggest stories I'll use this. I mean, if you don't believe me, you can go, buy, you can go buy or read his autobiography. Was President Barack Obama. And even though his case was a lot different, there was a case in his book. He even states how Michelle Obama was the breadwinner of their marriage for the first 10 years. And I'm always using that as an example because everybody can identify who that couple is.
Yeah.
And I mean, we look at their marriage now. I mean, you don't hear any rumors, you don't hear any cheating, you don't hear any, crazy mess going on because they
No.
did, just as I talked about, what worked for them. But then as we talk about going 50-50, I
Right.
mean, being the breadwinner for 10 years of your marriage is a long time.
Mhm.
I mean, the breadwinner. I
It
mean, and
is.
he
And
talked about how he had I think he talked about how he had a car with a hole in it and had to drive her out like that. And I
mhm.
think it's like no AC or no heated. I mean, no AC or no heat at one time. And it's like, man, when
Mhm.
people go through those situations, I'm like, man, some people think, oh, it's just a flag on the play.
Yeah.
Oh, this person
No.
can't handle me. This person ain't ready for me. Or this or that. I'm like, look, man, like you guys just said before, Siobhan had to run for something. It's like, you know, life is going to happen. And so the
Yeah.
question I got over the weekend from this guy was, he can't always go 50-50 because of his job. He don't have any
Mhm.
kids, but she does. And so it's like, well, there are times when it's just, hey, it's like you said, life is you have to be able to read each other's energy, know each other's language,
Mhm.
be able to read, be able to tell, hey, you ain't got it, okay, I'll back you. But it's not just that. But one issue I've been talking to people about, and I've been hearing a lot of, reading a lot of, is when the financial or the 50-50, that doesn't just mean financial only. Because
Mhm.
think about it. Sometimes you say you have a son,
Yeah. He's
14, right?
14.
So
Yep.
I mean, just imagine, say he was like, I don't know if he still needs babysitting or not, but let's say he was 8 years younger.
Mhm.
And sometimes he can go 50-50. Hey, I want to hang out, have a fellas night. Hey, I want to have a ladies night. Hey, I want to, do stuff. And the kid has to be, evened out 50-50 as far as, hey, I took him to practice last time. I took him to school last time. It's like, you can't
Yes.
always expect everything to be on the man and everything to be on the woman.
I
Tell me
would
if I'm
appreciate.
wrong though. I mean, I don't
I
have
would
any kids.
because at the end of the day, he's taking a responsibility that if that's not his. So I still give a grace even with the 50-50 because
Mm-hmm.
when we eat, my son is eating.
Mm-hmm.
My son has a very active schedule. So if he's helping me with football practice or the orchestra practice, I would happily give him dinner. Like what do you because it takes energy and that would be energy that he's expelling and I would consider that love. So like
Mm-hmm.
there's things that a man does or a woman is I mean it's interchangeable, but I'm just saying in my situation it would be a man. Like those acts of service is love because he could be doing a lot of things with his time. He could be one of those people that just want to date me and my son is almost grown, I'll just let him wing it. You've been handling them. So I consider those things too. Like, are you willing to be interactive with my son? If we're going to do a percentage of 50-50, then like give him credit for that. Give him
Mm-hmm.
credit for being a good role model to a child, a young man. 14 is a very tricky age. So like someone that's willing to realize he's a kid, but he's also a young adult. And like you're willing to go through this stage with me, with this person that comes with me. I call my son a bonus because often he is
All right.
probably better. It's not baggage because I know people who I don't talk to, they still love my son and still he's a good kid. So I mean, like it would
Mm-hmm.
be an addition to your life. He's very independent, but it's still a
Mm-hmm.
person. It's still a mouth to feed. It's still a gas.
Let me. Okay. And Siobhan, one
We
question
match
I was.
life and love.
Oh damn.
What's
Oh,
a
my signal.
dollar? I'd rather
My
have
signal.
someone who's loyal. That's priceless, or
Yeah.
committed.
And Siobhan, one question I wanted to ask you that the T was just talking about was, do you have any
I'm
kids?
sorry.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so let's say, if you didn't mind me asking, if you
I'm
didn't mind
good. Pass
saying,
the mic.
how many do you have?
I have so
You have what?
4, but 1
4.
grown.
Okay. So your case is a little bit different than hers, but let's say when you go on a date, do you like how soon before you let a man say, okay, you and him have been dating for, you've gone on at least 6 to 8 dates. So at what point do you invite your kids to go on the date with you guys, or do you or not?
I never invite my kids to go on a date with me. I'm gonna just be
Okay.
honest.
Okay.
Um,
That's
and
fair.
I don't put someone in front of my children unless I really feel like they serious about me.
Okay. Unless they're committed to you exclusively.
Yeah, like this is where we going with it. We already had a discussion. It's on the table. It's not, sometimes when we date, we assume. We might assume
Hmm.
because we've been with a person a year that they want to marry us, but that's not what you talk about. So that's
Hmm.
not what so I want to have that conversation and make sure it's going before I
Yeah.
put my kids in front of you because they might get attached or anything like that. And then now I didn't burden them because now I gotta snatch you being snatched away. Now
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna date again and somebody else.
Okay. So you guys are saying, yeah. So both you guys are saying during the dating scene, during the dating stage, that you will normally, whoever asks is normally the one who pays, and 50-50 is not something that's going to shy you guys away from a man. Okay, I get that. So here's my question to you guys, taking a step further into commitment, where you guys are exclusively, with and for each other. And I'm not sure, again, to me to commit to a woman, I would need no more than 4 months at the most before I want to commit to a woman. That's just where I know, hey, I know if I want to be with her or not, and I can
Okay,
tell if her energy is matching mine. Because I mean, if her energy ain't matching mine after X amount of months, man, I'll be like, man, that's a sign to go ahead and just let each other go. Don't get too emotionally attached. Don't get too, don't start hating. Just, you ain't doing for me. Go your way, and I'm gonna go mine after 4 months.
perfect amount of time.
Yeah, okay. So so let's say what?
I feel like that's the perfect amount of time.
Okay, I mean, and I'm 42, but again, I mean, 4 months may not be enough time for other people. I mean, that's just me. But yeah. So I said all that to say that so let's say you're committed to this man and you're feeling him, he's feeling you. You guys are both dating, with a purpose. You guys are with each other, and you're fine paying 50-50. He's fine doing whatever, playing his role. At what point in time would you say worked for you? And speaking from your experience, if you care to share a story, go ahead, because that story might touch somebody, tuning in. But at what point after you guys are engaged and you say that, okay, well, you don't mind one, or you don't mind a kid or one of your kids being around him, but you would have to know for sure that he's straight. He's moving in with good intentions. Okay.
Um, so my previous relationship, my kids became attached. So I went with them for 6 years.
Okay.
For introducing them to them, I actually said because my relationship before him was like horrible, so I didn't want to introduce. I actually sat down and asked my kids. We had a conversation about it. Is it okay if such and such come in the home, come in here with us, and we was gonna move in with each other at that point. And it had been probably like it was good like 5 months. We was moving because he lived in a different state, so he
Mm-hmm.
my state. He didn't have any kids. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I asked that, and after they was like, okay, they was around you for a while. I really felt like I made a good choice. During the relationship, he kind of lost his ambition. That's why we wasn't a couple no
Mm-hmm.
longer. Ambition turns me on more than looks. So lose your ambition,
Mhm.
it's stagnant and can sit in the spot. I lose interest. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
My kids love him. They still talk about
Okay. And see, that's one other thing I was going to add. That in partnership, in relationship, one question I was asked, like I said, over the weekend, even though we're kind of getting off, going 50-50, his thing was, when a man is coming to a relationship with a purpose and he's playing his role, he's showing signs he loves you, he's giving you all the flags on the play. They're not the red flags. These are like the white flags that, hey, I'm feeling you, I'm with you, I can, I'm down with that. And he's not quite everything you prayed for, but he is meeting all the right, criteria, that matter in the relationship. and it's like, all right. In your guys' case, I mean, you guys have kids, so I mean, T, you only have one, but there are kids, so their lives also matter. So even again, after the dating stage of going 50-50, and again, you're in commitment stage now. At what point, let's say that let's say one of your children, let's say your children, T, is not down with the man that has shown, hey, he can hold his own. He loves you. He cares for you. He respects you. He's like eight. He's like 6 to 8 of the things you pray for in a man, but your son's not feeling them.
I'm gonna tell my son, sit down somewhere. I done gave you my whole life.
Come on now,
baby. But because I mean, I ain't gonna be with no mess. So I mean, we'll have to find out what's going on, because my son is very much the most important person in my life. But I think I was talking to my son the other day. He was like, I'm trying to find you a daddy. He was like, Mom, I'm good, because my father raised him. Mm-hmm. So he was like, it's more for you. It's more about you. Like, I don't want to go to college and leave you. So like, I wouldn't even bring, like, I don't have men around my son unless I think it's compatible, because I'm telling my son and showing him the kind of man that I'm telling him that's only like necessary for our life. And I also give him advice about the girls. So it's really important that I am the person I'm telling him to be looking at. And so so he don't see all my dates and everything like that. So like the person that I would bring around him, like he's vetted. Like my parents done seen this man first before I even brought him around my son and stuff like that. So like I would be like, we'll try to figure this out, because it takes a lot for me to even have someone that I'm bringing around. So I obviously like this man.
So you mean to tell me hold on now. So you mean to tell me that your son, who's been your son way longer than this man has even known you, and you would take your feelings and emotions and these man's actions over how your son feels?
I can't hug that. My son is not my man. And my son doesn't make adult decisions in our house.
That's your blood, though.
He's still my son. Huh?
Yeah, that's your family. That's your blood.
Yeah, so it's a deep consider. But it could be petty. It could be mom, because he's also an only child. So my son only likes all of my time. Like, I get what he's saying, but if it's not a core, if it's not a core situation, if that man's not hurting my son, he's not hurting me, and you got to grow up a little bit, because mama's world is expanding, and I can hold.
I like the way you put that.
Okay. How about you, Siobhan? I mean, her camera froze for some reason. How about you,
though? I would see why. And I'm like with her, if it's a petty reason, come on, you know what I mean? I'm with her. I can't hug you at night, and because I went through that, because my son is grown. So, you know what I mean? Her son still got to listen to her. My son is grown where he is like, like you. You know what I'm saying? But it's never that way. I always wait.
Bring me back, bro.
Okay.
But I would do the same thing. Kind of, you need to sit to the side, and especially if it's not a good reason, because it could be anything. My kids is it could.
Yeah, I mean, kids. I've known kids. They get who get kind of jealous kind of fast, especially when it's the opposite gender, because they're they're so used to getting the mother's time, and then all of a sudden, Lord, technology gone wild, man.
Oh, man.
I honestly don't know what's going on with the cell phone service, this technology, or what. They normally don't do this. I don't know what's going on.
I was like, bring me back, Bruce.
It keeps kicking one of you guys out or the other.
I thought you kicked me out when I ain't picked my child. No.
See, and now Siobhan's screen just went back. Just went blank too.
That's cute. But I don't know where we were.
Well, I was giving, because she was saying how she gonna agree with you. I'm like, man, come on. Now, I mean,
because
I'm not a parent yet, but I can feel where both y'all coming from. But here's my thing for both y'all said, you can't love your kids or the same way you can try to love a man, and you're not trying to do this. So I understand that part. But also, I'm looking at here's one thing I think I didn't hear from either one of you all, was that how a kid feels. Okay, let's say you do decide to marry this man, and the kid hasn't felt right about him, or the daughter or the son hasn't felt right about him, because all this
I'm
time, and
gonna
it's
get
like, all
to
right,
no, but I'm gonna get to the root, like,
go
because
ahead.
sometimes my son, as a child, I feel like it's crazy when you feel like children don't understand. Because I remember being a kid and people talking over me, and I know full well what's going on. Like, that ain't right. But so with me and my son, I'm grateful to have an open line as far as you can with a 14. But we talk about a lot of everything. Like, I was
Mm-hmm.
his wingman at the mall today. Like, most parents ain't. I'm talking about. So we're very close. So I'm gonna get to the root of what's the problem, like what's going on, because it could be something deeper than it could be something that's not even a dude. Because my
Mm-hmm.
son doesn't know his dad, so I need to find
Oh.
out like what's going on. This man that you don't know is now my son has been like yesterday. There was a dog outside. I had to call my son to open the door. So of course there's going to be a reevaluation of roles. So I got
Mm-hmm.
to be the one that could put over everybody's emotional thing. And I was raised by two very practical parents. So even though I am female and emotional, somebody got to see the steps. And then
Yeah.
and at 14, he doesn't spend time with me anyway. He's on FaceTime. He has his own life. He likes girls. And as I have to explain to him, like, before I was your mom, I was a whole person too. Just like
Mm-hmm.
you like going out to the mall and looking good and stuff, so do I. Like, I'm a person. So I never put over me being a parent. Like, he knows I'm human. Like, I'm quick
Mm-hmm.
to tell her I apologize when I'm wrong or if I misspeak. So like we
Or
have a thing, but at the same time, he doesn't have the capacity to understand the bigger pictures outside of his world. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I would want to know. But once I find out what it is, if my son is safe, if he is taken care of, we're going to have to work on this, sweetheart, because mommy has a world and like you are the center of it, but you're not the whole entirety of it. Just like I'm not the entirety of his world. He has
mm-hmm.
his own friends. He has his own interests. And like, I just don't think as a parent, and I didn't understand that until I became one, because I used to judge my parents so harshly until I became a parent and realized, no, they weren't crazy. They were tired. They were broke. They were frustrated. I was a brat. I talked a lot, so like, so I'm a rock with my son, but my son is only going to be rocking with me for a little while.
Okay,
We're looking at colleges.
Okay, so help me understand this. Help me understand this by any means necessary. When you meet this man, and he's just about everything you prayed for. He has all the values that again money can't buy, and all the values
Mm-hmm.
that matter in the relationship. And you guys are moving the same speed, the same
Mm-hmm.
path, both y'all in the same way. But your son is sitting there saying, "Well, he don't know," or your child is there like, "Okay, well, he or she don't know." What they're going to do now. Everybody, Siobhan, I think she had four. She has four. So,
Okay.
are you still with us, Siobhan? Can you hear us? Okay,
Sometimes
maybe
we can hear, but we can't
probably
see
technical
her.
difficulties. I'll just ask you then, T. So, okay, he's the right one, and you can see yourself with him. Your son is now 15, going on 16. Do you say? Do you? I mean, this is because like you said, you have your own life too. But he's your blood now.
He's
He's your
the
family.
same
He's
the
your family.
same.
So are you gonna let him stay and give you a hard time? You gonna have him move in with his grandparents, or
No, that's my
it,
child. We're gonna work this
that's what
out.
I'm
We're
saying. So
gonna have family
what are you gonna do in
therapy.
that case when this love of your life is here and you guys are getting just over you guys are just about you're more than to the close to the finish line of dating.
Yeah.
I mean, not date, of commitment. That hey, you guys want to move a step further to possibly engagement,
Oh
but your
yeah.
son is like the roadblock.
My son is a roadblock. My son will never be a roadblock. He might be an obstacle or a harder path, but we will figure that out. Like, because that is the main thing I would be looking for in a partner, is a sense of family or a sense
Mm-hmm.
of nuclear. And I was a problem child in my family, but so it's never a family. Love is not always a fairy tale. It's not
True.
always easy. But this is what we have to deal with, husband, fiance, boyfriend, because my son is right at the finish line and there's been a lot of work put into this boy to
Mm-hmm.
become a young man, and we are right here. Like, I would try to find therapy because his feelings are valid. And I would probably try pleading with him. I'm not even gonna front, like, come on, son, I don't ask you
Mm-hmm.
for anything. This is one thing, because I just know that that's the relationship him and I have. Like I'm confident in being able to read. I've never had to really beat my son. You know how some people have to. Like I'm happy I was able to have a thinker. So I was able to talk to my son always like, yo, like, because my son has his own goal in life. I never pushed anything on him. He has a thing he wants. And so it was always kind of easy to be like, yo, this is going to mess you up. And like, I have a thing like, Omari, it's self-esteem. Even if I don't believe you can do something, don't let me stop you because of my mind. My thinking is smaller than yours. So like at a while, so we both have a kind of a co-independency, but him being a son to a single mother, I never had I didn't have I want to say the cushion to be able to baby him. Like, unfortunately, I had to grow him up because the world doesn't care what you don't have. You have to function. They don't care about your past. You're another black boy.
I got one question for you. I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Let's say you and your son have decided to get an apartment with this man. Or, I mean, or you guys decide to, let's say he had his own place, nice single family home, 4 or 5 bedroom, but it's just him. Now, does your man now this is commitment.
Yeah.
And in fact, let's take it a step further than commitment. Let's say he's proposed to you already and you've accepted. And you guys have moved into his place with him, and your son, even though he don't like him like that, he has decided to move into because he's only going on 16 now. So again, he's 14 now, 16, been 2 years and some change, or a year and some change. Okay. Does your son, does your man, if he's paying for the bills, paying for your son's, way through school, paying for him to, have a car, if he's paying a lot of things for your son, he don't have to. He's just doing it because he's working his way to being his father or being a father. Now, does your man at that point, your fiance, have a right to physically discipline your son if he's doing all that for your son and your son is disrespecting him?
There's healthy discipline. Yeah, he could discipline his son because he's doing more for his son than he's doing his birth daddy did. So
okay.
So I mean, like, that's unfair because if he had a daughter and I am now her mother and I am doing these motherly roles, sometimes discipline is necessary. Now, am I going to beat the brakes off of her? No, because now you're abusing a child. So I'm okay with him disciplining my son, but there's fine lines between discipline and abuse. Like, it has to be aligning with what my son knows. Because now my son is not little either. So abuse, he has a right to defend himself. And that's just a whole nother thing now we have to deal with. But you are the adult here, sir. Like,
hey, T, I'll be out. There'll be so many times, man, when I see mothers, well, I mean, not mothers, but men and women trying to play the role of the mother, of the father. They're not quite there yet. But then all of a sudden, next thing I know, this man loves the hell out of this woman, or this woman loves the hell out of this man, and the children get in between. Next thing I know, all hell breaks loose, and then all we hear is this right here.
Nah, like I would be close
because the man or the woman done crossed the line, and they done put their hands on the child that's not theirs. And then that child is like, hey, I told you I didn't like him. I told you I didn't like her. But then,
everybody's fighting now because I just feel like an adult, we have tools. Like, sir, I mean, like, we have tools. Like, a kid can't infuriate you, but you are the adult. And if you feel like you can't handle it, first of all, I'm going to see how he interacts even in that. Because I always say I rate love not when the bills is paid, maybe when I overspend, let's see. So I would first be around and see how the discipline goes. And then, because one thing I can say, my parents they disagree, but we didn't get to hear the details. Maybe they'll go somewhere else and have their conversations and come back like upon further discussion, So I would actually want to see how he would react with my son being frustrated on a day, because my son is really a good boy, but every now and then he's smart. So he feels like he's the smartest. And he comes with his set of stuff too. So he's no perfect son. But I would want to see have the mental fortitude to handle that, because there
are times like you just said, that I've been in and I've gotten past the dating scene with young ladies who have a daughter, who have a son, whatever the case was. And there were times where I never got physical. I would always just give them something to think about. Well, okay, you ain't trying to do your homework. I like, all right, then there, little boy. Since you ain't trying to do your homework, there, little boy, I'm gonna go ahead and beat your butt in some Mortal Kombat. If I kick your butt in some Mortal Kombat, you gotta do your homework. But if you beat me, I'll do it for you. And I knew the child couldn't beat me, but I would just do like that. And that's not really discipline in a way, but it's being fair. It's hey, do your homework when you get home. Don't try to play games right away. I just graduated from that. I mean, I just finished like high school or whatever. So it was like I could do that. And that's what the mother liked about me. Now the daughter, she didn't have the same the same argument attitude with me that the son had. And these are kids on like, 10 to 12. They weren't, quite your son's age yet. But I mean, even in dating, and a lot of y'all men and women tuning in. All right, there she goes, Siobhan. Oh, damn, he's lost again, man. But a lot of times, man, what I'm trying to go over with men and women is everybody's at a different stage in their life. But when you have the kids involved, again, I don't have any yet. But to me, I mean, the kids' emotions and feelings and thoughts are going to matter in the relationship, in the partnership. But to the point where a lot of men and women are like, all right, I'm gonna cut him off. I'm gonna cut her off because my child can't get along with him. Or sometimes the one they're trying to date, talk to, commit to won't get along with the child because they just, they don't have the love for children. There's some people just don't want none. And so they don't always have the best concepts, the best ideas, the best, things to even know how to work with the child because it's not their,
like, okay, Ari's the child, not the person I'm dating. So if you don't like children, I take that into high consideration because I have a child. So I tend not to want to date a person because you're going to have to be, it's a patience game when you're blending the family. Like, then that's both sides because he's getting to know me. He's also getting to know another human being, as in my son. So like, if you're not even on board for it, like me and my son is solid, so anybody that I would bring into our life would have to be an addition because life has been stable how it's been. We have a strong village. I have a lot of men around him. So it's an addition that we don't have to deal with. Now, my son, I have to deal with.
Yeah. So he's always going to be your son no matter what.
Yeah, he's my son. That's my ace. So if you're coming in as an op, you're not coming in liking me and not liking my son. We come like, that's the thing. Now that's a tricky thing for me. It took me a while to date because I had to raise my son. That took a lot. So that's why I'm like, I put years in on this child. I did. When he was at those stages and I didn't want men, I wasn't dating at all. My focus was my son to make sure he was whole because it's not fair for a child not to have both their parents. There's a lack there. I had my father. So I had to extra fortify him. I think if I have a person, I would be the disciplinary and my son would be happy there's somebody else there because I'm petty. I turn off Wi-Fi. I turn off stuff because I can't beat my son. He's 6'3". He's 200 some pounds, wears a size 14 shoe. Our whooping days are over. I tried to pop him and hurt my wrist.
Did I just hear you say your son is 6'3" at 14?
He's 14. He'll be 15 this Wednesday. He's
He's bigger than I am.
He's bigger than me, like a lot. Our whooping days are over. I need the person that would bring into my life would have to be a thinker because even I tried the last whooping I gave him, I hurt my wrist. And then my mom situation, and I had to learn that I'm whooping my child not because of what he did. He's doing age appropriate things. Sometimes you have to have somebody that's mentally stable because we're frustrated and we're getting after our kids because we're having a bad day. We're tired or something like that, or I don't feel like explaining it today. So you always got to be able to gauge, and that's me as a parent. So I got to vet this person 100% because you cannot come into my child's life and break anything that has been solid because this world is already hard on little Black boys raised by Black moms, if we can be honest. There's already, I feel like both parents are necessary because it's a shield for the child. There's things you learn by looking at a man, how he walks, how he carries himself. And so when a child doesn't have that, unfortunately, whatever parent, because I know single fathers that have their children, so I don't say single moms. Whatever that parent has, sometimes dating just can't be that. There was years where dating wasn't my priority. So that's another reason why, like, now that you're older and we can talk a little bit more, like I would hope that I raised a son that wouldn't be petty on his desires to be the only one, because I'm not teaching him to be my man. I haven't prepared him for staying home. He's prepared. He has his plan of leaving and going. And I don't believe in kicking kids out when they're 18 either. But when
So here's one other thing I wanted to ask you, since you also have a child, is matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you a question that was in our comment box right here. Is again, I'm not gonna name the person because I haven't asked the person to put the name out there yet. But what do you do if even though, okay, this question is going back to the dating scene. Okay. So it's like, what do you do when the man, when there was, what do you do when the date, and this is a woman asking the question, but what do you do when the date is not always trying to include your son by saying, hey, like they're not asking you and your son out, but they're asking just you out, and they're showing signs that they don't want to be a parent or not ready to be a parent. What do you do with that? Do you try to, now again, this is a man who's, who meets all your needs. He loves you. He's, he has respect, but he's not showing you all the signs that he wants to be a father just yet. But he hasn't said no either.
My son is the most important need.
Okay.
So if he's not willing, that's the most important thing. Is like, you got one job in a child's life, and that's to be the parent. And like, that is just what it is. You cannot like me and not accept my son. Like, that's how, because I can't divide myself with you will be getting a mother. You will be getting a mother to a son. You will be getting a daughter. We haven't even did the parents dynamic. You will be getting someone very, very connected to their family. Like, we can't, there's been good men that I had to be like, dog, because they weren't ready. But that means we don't align. We can't be together. We don't align. And it doesn't take away from that 6, your 6.
That's what I'm trying to get. That's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get that person who just sent me that, and I'm trying to just get your point of view, being that you can kind of relate to her. That's why I said your stories will always be able to touch somebody who's in the audience. But my thing is this: it's not that he hasn't considered your son being his, or he hasn't considered being. The thing is, he's not moving at that speed yet. He's taking it steady, slower. But it's like, okay, you're wanting, huh?
That's his right.
Okay, so that's my thing is, would you try to work with him, as in leave your son at your parents' house, or would you try to say, hey, well, I'll take care of my son this time, or whatever the case is? Like let's say he only had like 2. Let's say he had 2 tickets only. His job gave him 2 tickets to go to a Panthers game in Charlotte. He's like, all right, but to take your son was some additional funding. He wasn't ready for, even though tickets are cheap though. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just a date, if it's a date and he wants to be with me, it's a date. I don't bring my sons on dates like that.
I'm on that. And see, that's a good point.
You have to be very clear. Is this a date, or is this a moment in your life? Is it going to always be like this? Will you ever include my son? It's my job to ask these questions and be aware, because it's not his job yet. We're dating to be conscious of my son. He's still trying to get to know me. So there's a difference in a Panthers game or life. Like my son will be at football games and stuff. Do you want to put game?
It sounded like what this young lady was asking though was when a man or a woman is showing signs that they're not always feeling the other party's child, and it's like, okay, and again, every situation different, but when the child is involved, I feel like people should take it in consideration that the child is a part of the man or the woman you're dating. Because I mean, even my partner who does the show with me, before he got married, he already had 2 kids of his own, and so it was like, okay, there were women before he got happily married. There were women brushing him off because he had kids, and it's like, all right, to him, that was a sign of she ain't ready for me. And but then all of a sudden the right woman comes along and accepts the kids, and he's happily married now. So it's like you have people like that where they're, because of their age, they're like my age, they're 40 something with one or two children. Okay, they're coming to the edge of, I don't want to just date you, I want to be exclusively committed to you. And it's like, all right, but they're still having a few hiccups here and there with the kids. And I was just telling them this before you guys hopped on. That does not always mean to brush him or her off, brush her off, because they're going along a little stumbling block with the kids, kind of, because sometimes the kids are not 14, they're only 4 years old. So they're not even close to being grown yet. They got a few more decades, a decade to go or two. So I'm like, in situations like that, I've been telling all folks, because I've been there before. I have a love for kids, but not all men have the love for kids that I do. Right. So it's like, I've been there before where the son liked me, but the daughter didn't, for whatever reason, because she was a daddy's little girl, but her dad wasn't in her life like that. But whenever he came around, because he was a truck driver, whenever he came around and had time, she liked to be exclusively with him. And the mom, I'm not gonna mention her either, but she at the time just found a way. Okay, go with your daughter. We're gonna go hit a Frankie's. We're gonna go, out to eat. We're gonna go. The son and I, we got along good. We like to, I gave up games to be with the mom, but the son still liked playing games, where the daughter didn't like doing that. She liked looking at movies and cartoons and stuff like that. So it was like, all right, the mother seemed to be okay with me going with the son. We all got to eat. And there were times I would pay for all of us. There were times she'd pay for him. I'd pay for just her. And we juggled it the way it worked for us. Sometimes she would pay just based on how her day went, or based on what part of the month it was, because she got paid bi-weekly. I got paid every week, but it was at the time. So it was like, but again, finding what worked for us. And the only reason we didn't work out was, I'm looking for marriage, but she's like, no, I will never get married again. Go find the one that's for you. All right, cool. And I look at the son now. He's actually, I think he's 4 years older than your son is now. I'm like, damn, man, what you been feeding that dude, man? He done got big so fast. But that's just speaking from experience. I'm not gonna say that the daughter was wrong. I'm not gonna. That's how she felt. That was daddy's little girl. I'm not gonna say that the woman that I was trying to marry or wanted to marry could see myself married. I'm not gonna say she was wrong. She just didn't want to get married anymore. She had a bad experience, and that was it. One and done for her.
I feel like none of us really have all the answers.
No.
Man, we're just trying to just hold on for dear life sometimes. Like, you gotta, it is trial and error. There's some mistakes don't make twice. And like, there's some things you won't know until you're in that situation. But I do know, if it's a case of you don't rock with my son, that's an automatic you don't rock with me. Like, so it was nice crossing paths with you. But if it's a thing, like it's a difficult situation, like, we all have to be emotionally mature to realize, eyes wide open, and we're trying to blend different things together. Like, if you ever, I cook a lot. So like, when some things that are thicker, you got to stir a little harder. It takes time. Like, so there's more than one ingredient. Like, how much do you love me? Like, I'm hoping for forever. So we might not have all the answers today, but my thing is, like, don't leave. Are you a person that believes in forever? Like, when it gets tough and the things to do, so like, that's including children, and including future children. Like, I could still have kids. Hey, like, even that, like, so like, there would be hopefully conversations before we even got to our feelings being involved.
Hey, T, have your friend who just tagged you on social media, if she got something she want to say, have her, if y'all have anything you want to say, y'all can still dial in. It's a 984-464-0688, and we can put you on speakerphone and hear what you got to say, man. Because some people who are tuning in and sending these messages here and there, you can't see them, but I can. They're like, okay. They're not fully agreeing with you. They're not fully agreeing with me, because again, everybody's situation is different.
They ain't got to.
Yeah, they ain't got to. Again, everybody's situation is different. And like I've been saying for years, there is no rule book, but there are still there's no rule book to.
I would say when you're talking about what you want as an individual, when you're talking about what works for your house, there is no wrong answer. What works for my house don't have to work for your house. We're not talking about your house. I got the mic. If you want to get on the mic and say what works for your house. So you know what I mean? Like, so what works for mine doesn't have to work for yours. But when we are in each other's households, there's no wrong answer. There's just different things. People have had different walks of life. We will never all agree or be able to do it. But you got to walk in the truth to yourself, be true. Like, it's our children. Like, so if it works for me and my child, it works.
Hey, and you know what? I love it. I love it, T. And I with that being said, man, you know, that's actually our time up, man. But I do appreciate you coming on. And then this is, again, Chaos Conversation, man, because this is where, again, there's never no wrong answer in a relationship. We just got to share the knowledge we have and, you know, share it with those, you know, who are in need. Because, I mean, relationships, that's what life is about. But there's also partnerships. And yeah, and just in closing, again, this is Chaos Conversation. We normally hear every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If any of y'all get a chance, feel free to subscribe to us on YouTube. Come find us on Facebook. Come find us on Instagram and TikTok. We here. And hey, this is one of our guests, T. Well, our other guest, Siobhan, that was on. She just, you know, has some technical difficulties, man, with these smartphones, getting probably too smart, man. Just like they do on iRobot. But hey, TA, I appreciate you coming on, and I'll be on the Zoom tomorrow too. I don't know about you.
Late, but I'll be there.
All right, bet. All right, we'll see y'all.
Y'all be blessed.
Peace.